The judiciary is set up by the Constitution of Ghana to dispense justice for and on behalf of us, you and I, the people. So what does the service and those who man it, judges, do when the people attack the courts? It's said often that justice doesn't seem to be available to all of us, particularly because of the remoteness of, as in lack of closeness to courts. We have seen a number of courts being set up to allow for there to be, if you like, justice at the doorstep of the people. So if the courts are being attacked, does it mean the people don't want the courts closed by them? This is what we are looking at. Attacks on the courts and the implications for justice delivery. We'll be right back to introduce my guests to you. You're welcome back. This is The Law. It's your legal lights. It's your health law. And my guest this afternoon, Xavier Koku Kuju, is the PRO of the Ghana Bar Association, and I mean the Public Relations Officer. Thank you once again for making time to join us on The Law, sir.
Thank you.
Also joining us is Abdullahi Yakubu. He's General Secretary of JUSAC, the Judicial Service Association. Thanks for making time to join us.
It's a pleasure.
Right. So I'm going to start on this note. I'm going to read to you a statement that was issued by the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana. It will bring a perspective to what prompts this discussion if you're already unaware of what is going on. It's dated the 28th of August, 2023, and it's titled Attack on the District Court, Tamale. The Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana, JUSAC, notes with grave concern the violent and unlawful invasion of the premises of the District Court, Tamale, by some unscrupulous elements of Tamale on Monday, 28th August 2023 at around 10 a.m. That attack, which saw residents troop to the court premises in their numbers and pelting stones that destroyed fixtures and injured a police officer, leading to exchange of gunfire. Note that as well, leading to exchange of gunfire. By the police to disperse the irate youth. In no uncertain terms, JUSAC unreservedly condemned the barbaric act of the miscreants. We also wish to commend the Ghana Police Service for their swift intervention with reinforcement that saved the properties and lives of the magistrates, court officials, lawyers, litigants, and other court users during the said event. Whilst we send our well wishes to the injured police officer and other innocent victims, we wish to call on the Ghana Police Service to deal decisively with the 13 suspects arrested during the event in accordance with the law, whilst efforts are made to apprehend the other suspects on the run. The general public are reminded that the judiciary exists for all citizens and that justice is administered in accordance with the law, irrespective of the persons involved. All citizens owe it a duty to support our courts to operate in an atmosphere free of all forms of intimidation and violence. Further, we call on the revered chiefs, religious leaders, political leadership, and the opinion leaders of Tamale and the Northern Region to support the judiciary and the security services to serve the people to the best of their abilities And that's the end of the statement under the hand of Samuel Afotutu, National President of JUSAC. So, you issued a statement. So what? They have attacked the court, they have injured people, they have caused the fear that has to be caused. As you said, magistrate, court officials, lawyers, and litigants were in danger, and a police officer injured. They attacked the court, they pelted stones, and they destroyed fixtures, injuring the police officer, and there was exchange of gunfire. It has happened. It shouldn't have happened.
Yes.
Even if they tried, they should have been stopped before they could start.
Definitely.
So what's the point of a statement?
Okay. I think, thank you very much once again for having me. And the citizens of Ghana need to understand that when we talk of the judiciary as defined in Article 126 of the Constitution, it is often defined in terms of the court. So any attempt or any attack on the court is an attack on the judiciary and the justice administration. It is enough to say that such attacks are attacks on the national security of the nation, because to attack the third arm of government, if that organ of government ceases to work efficiently as expected of the citizens, definitely there will be trust issues, and the state will not stand on the tripod as expected of it. When we issued the statement, we followed up to know what was happening on the ground. And to tell you the truth, the following day, the court staff were not certain of their safety when they returned.
Of course, what do you expect?
And when the supervising judge, the regional administrator, and other JUSAC regional officers met with the staff, you could read from their face that even when you are seated, you still have to be looking at your back just to be sure that you are safe. It was our expectation that the police would actually deal.
If one has to do that, be afraid, look at their back, as you say, to be sure what is going on, it should be any place other than the courtroom.
Definitely, especially when judges are supposed to be independent. They are not supposed to have any fear of favor, affection, or ill will in the discharge of their duties. But such attacks has the tendency of affecting the way judges think about their safety when they are seated to administer justice to the people. That was the reason why first we have to condemn it in the first place and then look at the people who matter, because where we come from, we understand the influence that chiefs wield in community. We understand the religious leaders as well as the political class. It was our feeling that these are the people who talk to the youth and the youth listen to them. They wield some level of authority, and when they speak, the youth understand. The whole issue borders on misunderstanding about how the justice system works. In fact, people don't understand. When I watch some of the videos from the youth saying that why should two of the drug peddlers be convicted and sentenced and another person comes and he's granted bail, they do not understand why it has to happen. So you understand that it is clearly about legal illiteracy, and that is so very high in this country, I must say, despite the number of programs that we've been doing. And in fact, I must commend Joy News and yourself for having a program, The Law. We follow the time without number, and the issues that are discussed are the surest way by which we can get the public enlightened, so that when they understand how the legal system works, some of these things would be minimized.
And I must say that many of the people at the place where this happened are hooked onto Joy News as we speak. The program is not only for the people of Tamale where this happened, because as you know, this is not the first time, and it is not happening only in Tamale. Courts have been attacked, even here in Accra. In Kumasi, not too long ago, we heard about this big issue. Not too long ago, recently also, Afote, when I was listening to him in the interview, referring to another, Kaneshi court, also coming under attack. So if you are watching, please relax. We're seeking to educate, and we will take your views also why you think what you did may have been justified, because I know most of you will want to call into the show. So first, let's begin. What have you understood to be the concern of the people who mustered up at the court? And as you can see in the footage, they are angry, you know, and they want something done for them. That's not a small number of people you see over there. They mustered up in their numbers. What exactly was their concern, where they thought that justice was being twisted?
Okay, so first, there is this incident of drug abuse that is destroying the youth from Tamale, Yendi, and the northern part of the country. I can't speak for other parts, but I've watched the video and I saw a gentleman wept with emotions about how drug is destroying the youth. So they have
drug abuse,
drug
destroying
abuse, yes,
many youth in this country, not Definitely. Only in Tamale and those places.
So they have decided.
Actually, it can be said it is worse in certain places in the cities. So you go ahead.
So they have decided that let's form a task force, get the blessings of the chiefs and the political leadership.
So this is the community.
Very good. Mm-hmm. So that we can take citizen action to arrest drug peddlers and let's hand them over to the security to deal with them in accordance with law. They've done it over and over. They've made certain arrests. Mm-hmm. But oftentimes, those who deal in the drug dare them and show them that we have something that we can do, so nothing can happen to us. They've brought 2 people to court who were dealt with, and they were somehow satisfied. In the case of the incident that brought about the attack,
2 people were dealt with, as in tried and convicted.
They were convicted and sentenced.
Correct.
So the 3rd person who was brought was said to be, they used the word ogboro, in the drug peddling business. So when he was arrested by them, we're told they actually broke into where he sells it, took the exhibits, and then brought him and those exhibits to the police, expecting that the police will expedite action and let him go through the same process and also be jailed. At the police, first some of them said he was granted police inquiry bail, a situation they were not comfortable with. Perhaps the police may also wouldn't want to keep the person beyond a
Xavier is here. He will help us with some explanation. Okay. Oftentimes, people make a complaint to the police and they say this person is doing wrong. The police go arrest the person and the person is processed and granted bail by the police, and the people don't understand it at all. They are like, why is the person out? He has to be in custody. So, like you said, legal illiteracy. We'll try and explain. So go ahead. Yes, and then what happened?
So from there, he was brought to court. On his first day of appearing in court, they actually came in their numbers to witness the scene. And the court also admitted the accused person at that time into bail.
Good.
They found that situation also not comfortable. They thought perhaps he would have just pleaded guilty and then he would be sentenced simpliciter as what happened in the other cases. From the videos we watched, they indicated that when the gentleman came out, he dared them that he is going to make sure that he escaped the situation, police and courts or whatever. He made certain remarks, sending a signal to them that...
And so the grant of bail by police and the subsequent grant of bail, or if you like, confirmation of the bail by the court, these people or the drug suspects will construe that as victory.
Very good.
And then the community members will be angry. And they say, well, they told you. They said you can't deal with them with the system. The system is letting them free.
Very good.
Okay.
So on the 3rd day when they appeared, so the 2nd day that he appeared in court, they came in their numbers. In the courtroom, proceedings were still ongoing. Some people had a chance to be in the court to know what was happening and were communicating with those outside. And from the signals they were picking, it's like what the guy said will happen is going to happen, which wasn't the case. But as you know, this had issues that touch on emotions.
That's right.
If you watch the video, they began by making noise. Then they bent a tire at the front, at the entrance of the courtroom, making entry a bit difficult. And if you check where the Tamale District Court is, behind it is a school. Some passed through the school and they jumped over a wall and got into the court premises. And the stones started coming. At that point, it was difficult for the police to control the situation, so they had to call for reinforcement. The reinforcement came in, trying to push them out. They did all they could, but the pressure that was mounting, especially when the police officer got injured, the police realized that they had to perhaps fire some kind of shots as a way of warning them, to deter them. So they did that, and the youth decided to move back, and that was how they could save the situation. In fact, some indicated that they don't want the court to deal with the suspect again. They want to come and pick the suspect. They arrested and brought him to the police, so that they will pick him and deal with him, because they felt like the confidence in the legal system that was going to deal with the suspect wasn't the best. So they will now want to have access to him and deal with him in accordance with the way they felt was going to be just. So that was what brought about the issues at the court on that very day.
So from where you sit, these community people had a genuine cause, correct?
Definitely.
And there's the larger issue of confidence in the judiciary, not so?
Let me say in the security system also, if you defend the judiciary, to include the police prosecution.
All right.
Because I realized that normally when courts are attacked, it borders on criminal cases. And by criminal cases, there's going to be a prosecution largely from either the AG side or the police side.
That's right.
So if there is no confidence in the police prosecution or the attorney general side, these things are likely to happen. If you check instances where the courts are attacked, it is a criminal matter. And the people will either feel that the police aren't going to deal with the matter in a way that is good, or usually, and sometimes I realize there are either politics also sometimes.
That's right.
Attached. If you take the Delta Force issue,
exactly,
Kumasi, for instance, you can read it. So not necessarily the judiciary itself, but the police. People don't understand that if I bring the case, okay, I'm a complainant. If I'm a complainant, I'm not a direct party to the case. There is a prosecutor. It's the republic versus the accused person. So they don't understand. They feel that I am the complainant. So the case is between me and the accused person. Why are the police dealing with the matter this way? So usually that is where sometimes the challenges come.
Okay. Let me bring in the Ghana Bar Association, and it's represented by its public relations officer. So Sylvia, first of all, what does the GBA say? And the GBA represents lawyers. What does the GBA say about this incident and such incidents?
Samson, thank you very much. Our position will not change. This is very condemnable. Nobody should countenance this. I think that is becoming one too many. And we have a role to play as lawyers and anybody who has legal knowledge. Over the years, even this year, we'll do legal outreach. When you and I were either in law school or faculty of law, we devote a whole day for legal outreach during our law weeks. I think that should be intensified. Probably maybe the target we had then.
Practically, that is what I have extended on this platform.
Yeah.
So this is your legal clinic.
Yes. So maybe probably the target we had then was students in school. I remember our time, it was the secondary schools that we were using. Even who last year during the conference, we went to some secondary schools. This year at Cape Coast, we intend to do a similar thing. I think the scope has to be expanded to the community level. Maybe we'll have to get lawyers who hail from those communities to be able to explain the issue. You see, education is important because just as I have a right, when my right stops, somebody's right starts. Yeah, it was a brilliant idea that they had, or they still have a vigilante group which was trying to work against drug abuse. You arrested a person for obvious reasons. You have to hand over those people to the police because you didn't have the power to proceed beyond that point.
That's right.
Now, when it gets to that point, allow the system to work. People must understand that the truth does not necessarily mean that you have evidence supporting what you're saying. The court operates in a way such that when you send a matter to court, your facts are there. The judge will have to take evidence and apply the law together with evidence to the facts. So you may be speaking the truth, but if the evidence does not support your case, it's too bad for you. And let's believe in our systems. Because if we don't condemn this, it could be extended to just any other court, including the Supreme Court, even the palaces of the church, the chiefs, because the chiefs will sometimes settle cases. So you may be settling a case in your palace, then you've come around and say, oh, Mr. Chief, or Nana, Togbi, the way you are dealing with this one, we don't understand. We are coming to do whatever we wanted to.
Take over.
It shouldn't be like that. Because I am wondering, Abulai said there were people in the courtroom who were giving them feedback. Are those people knowledgeable in the law? The process hadn't concluded. How then do you conclude that you are not going to get justice as it
They have suspicion, so they don't want to wait for it to conclude.
No, everybody can suspect.
Their suspicion is that it will end up with the guy being freed. And as far as they are concerned, he's guilty.
That is where the issue of integrity of our judges and the court system comes in. I have always said that as a judge, apart from your knowledge of the law, what you should look out for is your integrity. We say judges are being corrupted. I think that the judges themselves have a lot to do. If I bring you a package, if you're a man of principle, you should reject it and cause my arrest, including lawyers. Because Samson, I believe you're not denying that some of our colleagues try to do that. I have said time and again that any judge who is serious has no excuse saying that I've been corrupted. You are the taker. Anybody who makes such attempt cause a person's arrest. Maybe probably with our special circumstances, we should even look at our law on corruption. Why do we say the taker and the giver are equally guilty? For me, to make a headway, let's limit the guilt to only the taker, so that you may not even be sure whether you are being set up. That is the only way we can proceed. If we look at that law this way, I tell you, in the next few years, we'll do something about corruption. So this is an act that I think nobody should condone, not at all. It could be anywhere in this country, not because it's in
So once you repeat the GBA's, I may say, the standing condemnation, where anytime this thing happens, help give a bit of education to the people who did this. The suspect, they arrested the suspect, and the law allows them to effect citizens' arrest. But the law says immediately you effect the arrest, you should hand over to the nearest police station or police officer. They have done that. As far as they are concerned, they took evidence of the crime. So they don't expect that this guy should be granted bail by the police. And they don't expect that when he appeared before the court should grant him bail. Explain. Why?
There's something, as I said, we have a judicial system. The adjudication process, they have to understand. The fact that you have arrested somebody with exhibits, so to speak, does not mean that he doesn't have the right to be granted bail. Because it's a whole process that will have to be initiated and completed. So you wait. When the process is concluded, based on all this, the person did not get convicted, then you can go to the next level. That is by appealing until the process is concluded. Until the process is concluded, you cannot fault the court system, because it appears they've jammed the gun, to my mind. Because they ought to have waited for the process to be concluded. Then they could comfortably say that, oh, with all the available evidence, this court failed to convict this accused person. So for me, education is key, as I said. So they are doing a good job.
You said they can wait.
They should wait.
Yes, until the conclusion of the matter. And if they are not happy, they can appeal.
Yes.
This is a criminal matter.
Yes.
It's not for the community people to be able to do any appeal. The criminal matter means that it's a matter, the state against the individual.
Yes.
So if it ends, it ends. If the guy is free, they see him back in the community, and he's going to continue to unleash the wrong on their children.
Something. They are complainants, they are witnesses in the matter. So if the prosecutors are convinced that the court didn't do a good job, the prosecutors can do that on their behalf.
They are not happy with how the prosecutors are handling it. What should they do?
No, something.
They make a complaint to the Attorney General.
You may not be happy, but this is a professional area.
Okay.
If you don't have the requisite knowledge, you can decide not to be happy, but that doesn't solve the problem. I would say that if you think you are not happy, then consult people who have knowledge in that area to be following the case for you, as you and I do in criminal cases for our clients, to see if what is going on is really what's supposed to be.
And they can actually make a petition to the Attorney General to review the matter to see if the prosecutors didn't do a good job and so on. All right. So when the police is granting bail, In law, we say this is the basis. In our Constitution, in Article 19, it says a person charged with a criminal offense shall be given a hearing within a reasonable time by a court. And it says, a person charged with a criminal offense shall be presumed to be innocent until he is proved or has pleaded guilty. So that's where to start from.
Yeah.
Why is this important? Help us explain.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So that they caught the person.
Okay.
He's holding the thing. They know he's the guy. He has done the crime. Yet, he's supposed to be presumed innocent until he himself has pleaded guilty in court or the court has found him guilty. Why should it be so?
So first of all, before we can say an act is an offense or is a crime, there is a provision in the law that makes that act a crime or an offense, and a punishment has been prescribed for it. So the fact that you see somebody doing an act which you think is not good, it may be morally bad, but if our books do not say that such an act is an offense, it may not necessarily be an offense. So when you catch somebody committing an act, it is important that you take the person to the police. Now, upon examining the act that has been committed in the light of the provisions of the law, then the police can decide to, maybe upon doing their investigations also, decide that a certain crime has been committed based on the provisions of the law. If you catch somebody and you feel the person is committing an offense, the person may be committing something that is morally wrong, something that a society will not accept at all.
But there are times when the police will, be compromised by the people involved, especially the drug people. And the community people, they are aware. They actually know people who are like, call them hardened criminals, that they help to arrest, and then the next day they are roaming around and they are going to terrorize the citizens. And that's their concern here.
You see, the law has two phases. One part of it is that if you can be a complainant one day. Anybody can be accused of an offense.
Right.
So the fact that you are the one making the complaint against somebody does not mean that the person should be pronounced guilty before the person is tried. Any allegation can be made against you.
That's
you
right.
can be living in a room with a girl, and the girl can accuse you of raping the person. People may come and they see blood. It could be menses. It could be anything. Even if the person was found with a substance, until such a substance is tested, and we are sure that this substance that has been tested is something that the law prohibits people from either holding or selling or using, then we can be sure that a crime has been committed.
Okay.
And that's why I say that when you are a complainant in a matter, you should understand that the rights that you have when you are accused or somebody complains against you is the same rights that your accuser also has.
Okay.
And when it happens to you, you will respect that the law, the provision of the law, that everybody should be innocent until you are proven or admitted.
Xavier, does granting a person bail mean that they are victorious, they have won the case, or they have been set free?
No, Samson, no. I think it's illiteracy. You and I know, sometimes even if you are doing the civil case, an injunction is granted in a land matter, I have won. I think it's illiterate. It is never so. Well, it is the person's right. As you just read from the Constitution, the fact that you may have even caught somebody red-handed committing a crime doesn't mean that he doesn't have the right to be granted a bail. When it comes to crime, the Constitution even says that the person shall be heard by a court. So all these things must be known to people so that they know it's a gradual process, and we should all be patient with the system. I admit our system is quite slow, but instances like this can even make the system slower. I'm not sure, Abulai, that court is sitting now. Is it? I'm not sure. For a few days, I'm sure it was closed down.
Yeah, we were able to manage to have some security for the court.
So you see, he mentioned security.
Yeah.
Security is fine, but why should we expend money doing some of these things if people really understand the system?
Right.
Because understanding the system will avoid some of this.
So your explanation is that granting an accused person or a suspect bail is not the same as the person has been set free.
Not at all.
The bail is just the beginning of things.
Yes.
So that the person will get ready for the trial to go on.
Yes.
It is in the trial that these people who are not happy must marshal the evidence, give it to the prosecutors to nail the person, correct?
Definitely.
All right. You're still here on The Law. This is your legal light. It is your health law. and I'm with Xavier Kuji, who is the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Bar Association, and Abdullah Yakubu, who is General Secretary of the JUSAC, that is the Judicial Service Staff Association. And we're looking at the attack on the court in Tamale and the justifications that the people provided and how that will impact on justice delivery. There are a lot of questions to be answered. So we'll go to them and we'll open the phone lines in due course so that you join us. So I'm back to you, Xavier. So everybody, according to the law, when they are suspected of an offense or accused of an offense, are entitled to be granted bail.
Exactly so.
It is in the discretion of the judge to give them bail.
Yes.
Why, in such a situation where the community is clearly unhappy about this incident, and the prosecution also knowing that the evidence has been handed to them, and he goes to the court and tells the court this, why should that person be granted bail? The people don't understand that. Why should the discretion be in favor of the person?
As I said, being granted bail is a constitutional right. Everybody who is accused of a crime has the right to be granted bail, unless the court is convinced that the circumstances are such that the person will not be able to present himself for the process of hearing the case to continue. That is why they don't even do it in a vacuum. Okay. They ask you to bring a surety sometimes to be justified. Surety means that somebody who will guarantee your presence in court anytime they need you. So it shouldn't be a system, and those are not people who are not known to the accused person. To the extent that if the accused person is wanted in court and those people are not able to produce the person, they bear the burden of being punished for that. I think it's happened in one of these high class, how do you call it, political cases.
That's right.
I don't want to mention it. So as I said, the basic thing is...
it's public. Everybody is aware that the court is looking for Sedinam. They can't find Atieno, that is a former Maslock boss. And then those who stood surety for her are the ones who are now, taking the suffering.
So that's apart from education, I think indiscipline is one thing that is killing us. What happened at Tamale, I would say that is because of two things: lack of education or understanding and appreciation of how your adjudication process works, and indiscipline. Because if we are disciplined, I don't think we should be doing some of these things. We should be patient and wait for processes to follow through. If we are not happy, then we take the next line. Of course, the last resort shouldn't be violence.
Okay.
Not at all.
And the law is also that, or the jurisprudence is also that, bail is not supposed to be used as punishment.
Not at all.
So the court are not supposed to use bail to punish anybody, regardless of what they have been accused of. And some time ago, certain cases were not liable to bail, like murder. These drug issues were actually, narcotics were not liable to bail until recently when Martin Pebu went to the court and insisted that every offense should be liable to bail, murder, or whatever they are. And now every offense is liable to bail. But it is at the discretion of the court. The court will look at all the situation and decide whether you should be granted bail or not. If the court finds that you will run away, and when you are needed to come before the court, you will not appear, you will not be granted bail. If the court finds that you will interfere with the investigation or the process, they will not grant you bail. Those are some of the things, but the law says it should not use the bail as a punishment for you. So, in your estimation, you have urged the judicial service and the police to ensure that there is sufficient protection.
Yes.
What else can be done apart from just saying this? Because you have noted by yourself that this thing keeps happening.
Okay. Sometimes there's this thing that I think prosecutors need to take notice of. When you are dealing with a criminal matter, the judge sitting on the matter is not privy to your intelligence about the likelihood of the community's reaction if the person is admitted to bail.
Right.
So it then becomes incumbent on the prosecution to come and relay their security, their intelligence to the magistrate to explain reasons why the court should not admit the accused person into bail. Sometimes you can even grant a bail to somebody, and the bail, when executed, may be detrimental to the person's safety because there may be a possibility of a community attack on that person. The judge sitting on the matter doesn't know this. It is the police who have intelligence about the people's interest in the matter and how sensitive the matter is.
Explain that again. And I want you to explain that because it's important. Sometimes somebody is not granted bail, and the person and the community are actually angry that the person was not granted bail. But he's saying that sometimes not granting you bail is in your own interest. Explain that again.
So what I was saying is that if a person is accused of an offense that the community has an interest, is so much interest in, and they're even looking for the person to attack the person, in such an instance, the prosecution should explain to the court the sensitive nature of the matter and the possibility of the person's safety being compromised when that person is granted bail. In such instances, even though there may be certain other grounds that may qualify the person for the bail, it may be in the interest of the whole justice system and even the accused person, and in the interest of general community safety, that the person should still be put in custody until the trial of the case ends. And there's one thing I want to add. I realize that in most of the cases where the court has been attacked, the Delta Force case and in the Tamale case also. Yeah. In this case, you realize in the Delta Force case, there was a regional coordinator or somebody was
security coordinator was appointed. They were unhappy about it because somebody else was promised the job.
Very good.
And they molested the man, and then it led to all of this. Yeah.
So much as I will commend the police for their swiftness in the case of the Tamale, at least to prevent the court from being, people from being injured, I feel that the police can also look at the circumstances surrounding the case and pick sufficient intelligence to put adequate security in place, depending on the nature of the case. I recall one time that we had a criminal case as I was in a registrar. So I came out and I realized that we had a whole lot of police who were around the courts, and they were heavily armed before the case was even registered at the court. And when I asked the investigator, he told me that I should read the facts of the case. And the facts of the case could tell you that this was the case in which the robbers who were being brought had some of their colleagues on the run. And it was possible that they could even come at the court when the case is going to be tried. In such, the police can even decide to give a different timing for the matter so that people following the matter and may want to attack the court wouldn't know when the case is going to be tried, just in the interest and the safety of the court. So I am urging the police to deepen their intelligence. If you pick intelligence that people are going to come and have a look at this case, they have interest in this case, then you will know the number of police officers to deploy at the court, rather than waiting for people to start the attack and then you now call for reinforcement where guns will have to be
So the suggestion is that in this case, and knowing what was already at play,
yes,
they could have found a way by which this matter would have been dealt with without people knowing and coming around to cause trouble.
That is one angle. And the second angle is that the first day that the case was called, people actually came in their numbers, except that nothing happened on that day. And the rumor that was around shows that anything could happen on the second day. So we expected the police to have limited even the number of people
because
who come
drug
to the court
lords
on
have
that day.
people who are around them.
And he was alleged to have boasted that he could do ABC. So that you could restrict the number of people who come to court and ensure that you have sufficient security presence in advance. If possible, have body checks on the people before they come to the court premises.
In the court complex in Accra, if people want to come there to do anything on a particular day, they are restricted to the gates.
Yes.
They are not allowed access into the court itself.
Very good.
But this compound is a different situation, right?
It is an appeal, if you permit me, that we will want to make to the Tamale Metropolitan Assembly. The Tamale District Court serves a lot of people. If you see the case load there, it is one court that has two judges, so it means we have two courts, court A and B, or court 1 and 2. And the case load is so much. I've patronized the court before, but that place does not befit the status of a court. It is just an improvised court. Security is very, very poor. Even washrooms at the court is a challenge. The local government put the district court as a baby of the district assembly. So we will want to use your platform to make an appeal to the Tamale Metropolitan Assembly to consider constructing a befitting structure for the Tamale District Court. That will have sufficient security protocols.
Justice Kwesi Eni-Yeboah, Justice Gertrude Tokonu, they have been, before Tokonu, he was going around commissioning a lot of district courts and even circuit and high courts. Justice Tokonu is also doing the same. So maybe you should pay attention there.
Yes, in fact, I commend the government for the number of new courts that we have had, the standard courts. If you visit any of the new courts, you'll be very, very happy. But a lot of the old courts that we have, when you visit the courts, sometimes when they say this is court, honestly, you can be ashamed of calling such a premises a court. But we believe that the people deserve justice. Wherever they put us, we will work. But even as we do this, we still will wish that the government...
And they deserve justice in a secure environment. So, Xavier, before we go to the broader matters of, is it policy and things, he was talking about the prosecutors, where it is possible that in this matter, for example, it is the prosecutors who may not have done a good job leading to grant of bail or whatever it is. To what extent do you think prosecutors can help the process to avoid some of these situations?
I think they can do something, but the other thing too is that it may also be abused. Because there may be interested parties who may also say, let him remain there. So, of course, as he said, the first day they went, a lot of people came there. So that should have sent a signal that this is quite a sensitive case, so security should have been beefed up. I think that's his concern.
Yeah, and that they could have given the court a lot more information.
Yes.
Because they have the intel.
I think
about the individual and the potential of his people coming there and causing trouble.
I think it's an important point that must be taken into consideration, because I was briefed by the Northern Regional Secretary of the Ghana Bar Association that when the case was even going on, there were some people on radio stations who were saying a lot of things, which actually gave rise to the situation. And I must commend them per what he told me. After the incident, they started doing a lot of education on the local radio stations, which I think that many of us should emulate, because it will help. It will go a long way to help us.
The phone lines are open now. You can call us and ask your questions to the General Secretary of the JUSAC. And JUSAC is the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana. You could also put your question to Xavier Koji, who is the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Bar Association. Just ask your question. We should have answers for you. Any concerns that you have, we will be happy to address them as well. So, what updates do you have about the injured and the circumstances now? We understand that there is a demand for the 12 who are arrested to be released. Because the community doesn't understand.
Yes. So in our statement, we indicated that the 13 suspects should be dealt by the police in accordance with law. The information we had is that the 13 have been granted bail. And being granted bail is part of being dealt with in accordance with law, because bail itself is part of the law. And I am using this as a precedence to let my people know that.
For them to understand
that just as these 13 people, they feel that they are innocent and should not be kept unduly for the case until they are tried. Same way any other citizen of the country is entitled to bail based on the discretion of the court and the circumstance that is required. So we've told that they made that demand and they've been granted bail. It's our expectation that the matter will continue to its logical conclusion. But people should reflect over the bail that has been granted to their people and they are happy. So that when it's granted to another person, when they are at the other side, they wouldn't see it as injustice.
Let's begin with the questions from our audience. Musa, you're calling us right here in Accra. Let's hear you, Musa.
Good afternoon, Samson, and good afternoon to the panelists.
Good afternoon.
Mine is a contribution, and I have to do about the prosecutors, which is giving credence to people's suspicion that justice is not being done. I am an intern in the court. I'm a law student being an intern in the court. And for my few weeks in the law court, I've observed that certain prosecutors are not living up to expectations. I even have a call to complain at chambers to my lady, the judge, that can't the Attorney General do something about these prosecutors? There are certain serious cases that you will see. The prosecutors will come, they will postpone to the point that the judges will become angry and start out the case because the rules give them that. That is number one. So when it happens like that, the witness, the complainant will become furious and you go out there and be making noise. That system is not working. So the next time that such a person has a case, it becomes something that if you feel comfortable taking the law into his own hands, the person will do it. The second issue I want to do, quick one, is about the court system. I plead, because if you look at, apart from GRA and other 3 or 4 government institutions in Ghana here, the court or the judiciary is giving government a lot of money. Filing fees alone is not small. But you can go to a court premises, even the circuit court within the Supreme Court premises. If you go to where the judicial service staff are used as their washroom, in fact, you'll be shocked.
All right, thank you very much, Musa. And Musa has a genuine concern, doesn't he? Some prosecutors are rather, tardy. Is that not a fact? And then a judge and the court are the ones that the people are blaming. Meanwhile, it is the prosecutor who is not doing their work. Yes, Xavier.
I think that, not that I think that's true. Practically it's true. So I don't think that if somebody is not performing, the person should be kept at posts. Probably they may complain about numbers, because I'm sure it's because of the numbers that is why the police are doing some of the cases that some of us think that they shouldn't be doing, because the AG's office doesn't have enough lawyers. But maybe this will be a forum to talk to government or to appeal to government that, look, now that we are training many more lawyers, let the system allow employment at the AG's
There are many more lawyers you have trained. They don't want to be there. They want to do their own work.
They don't want to be there because probably the conditions there are not the best.
And then about 80% of them or so, they want to be in Accra. They don't want to go anywhere.
That one is an economic issue, because nobody will go through this hard system by paying fees, and you not want to be where you get a daily bread, have some left for your parents. No. So okay. It's an economic issue.
Sadat, you're calling us from Tamale. Let's hear you, Sadat.
Yes, I think one of your panelists said the accused person was caught with the exhibit. But to make that correction, the accused person, it was alleged that they went to one of his warehouses where the accused person was absent, and then they broke into it, and then certain drugs and other things were picked. That is supposed to be the exhibit in court. Yes. And then regarding the keys, I think it was when the...
Oh, did I lose Sadat?
I'm sure.
Oh, too bad. Sorry. Sadat, the aspect about you trying to make a suggestion about what prompted what we have heard is the demand that those arrested be released. If you can call us back and share that, that will be fine. Who is it? Who is on?
I called earlier, yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I said the secretary made a statement that the accused person was caught.
No, you have said that. We want the second matter. You said about the
second matter is regarding the disturbances in court. It was when the lawyer for the accused person was trying to cross-examine the key witness. Then he started to ask certain questions regarding drugs, whether there was a law in Ghana banning the sale of tramadol. Actually, when they say drugs, it is basically tramadol, that issue that they are fighting here. So when the counsel for the accused person started to ask these questions, then messages were sent outside to the effect that accused was given the chance to cross. They were asking questions that were not there. So the people also start to make demands that the accused person should not have given the chance to explain himself according to what most of the people. I was a witness in court.
Okay, so that thank you for calling in. But what the General Secretary of the JUSAG was saying is about information that he has received. That was to the effect that they presented the accused together with evidence. I think the use of being caught and so on, maybe we are the ones who use that. But please, from your point of view, it does appear that you have a certain belief that drug, sale, if it's not like narcotics, there is no crime. Okay? That cannot be correct. There's a reason there is registration and licensing for people who deal in pharmaceuticals and drugs. So, well, we'll leave the matter for the court to look at. We are looking at the bigger issue of the attacks on the court and why they should not be happening. Now, so Sylvia, I visited my Criminal Offences Act, 1960 Act 29, Section 223. And it says, disturbance of court. Whoever with force, threat, or tumult hinders, interrupts, or disturbs the proceedings of any court, or willfully and unlawfully with force, threats, or tumult hinders any person from entering or quitting any court, or removes him therefrom, or detains him therein, shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. What can you tell people about this?
All I can tell people is that the law is clear on this. What happened in Tamale is punishable by law. So people should be careful the way they go about these things. And I'll continue to say that we live in Ghana. Somebody has a friend who is somebody's sister or somebody's brother. If you lack knowledge in a particular area of the law or whatever subject, go to the rightful people. They will educate you on what to do. And we should be patient and disciplined about some of these things. Because these 13 people, of course, have put themselves into trouble. In the name of trying to just, I don't know what they were fighting for, because you were able to arrest somebody. That alone should be enough. Just fold your arms and allow the processes to follow through. So I think that people ought to be a little bit careful, or much more careful about the way.
And massing up at the court, making noise, that will disturb the proceedings of the court, and issuing threats. I've read the Section 2, Section 223 of the Criminal Offences Act. It's a crime and will be punished. What do you say?
I think sometimes if people have frustration to vent out and they don't have alternative, they may find themselves within the grips of the law. In the instance of what was happening in Tamale, those who went to the court and felt justice was not going to be done, they had several options available to them in accordance with the law. They could have petitioned the IGP.
Quickly list the options.
They could have petitioned the IGP. If they felt it was on the side of the court, we have the public complaints unit. They could go to the regular public complaints to petition, or the national director of public complaints, or even to the Chief Justice himself. In case where they wanted to have citizen mass action, they could have explored options in the Public Order Act and notify the police, pick a date and come and march on the street to let people know that they are not happy about the way the matter is being dealt with and they are simply against drug abuse. They could have done that as a way of expressing their democratic rights against the issues of drug and how the police were handling the matter.
Thank you very much. My guests have been Xavier Koku Kuji, who is the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Bar Association. Also, Abdullah Yakub is General Secretary of the JUSAC. That is the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana. And we have been discussing attack, as in mob attacks on the courts, the impact on justice delivery. And as he said, it could actually slow and affect, the justice system in a lot of ways, including the judges who are sitting there. If they don't feel secure in what they have to do, they clearly will be affected in the manner they proceed with their job. We will find time to look at this into even a more detail, how some of these acts actually directly or indirectly affect justice delivery in Ghana. But that will be some other time. I'm Samson Lardy Anyenini. This has been The Law. It is your legal light. It is your health law. If you forgot anything, remember, Section 223 of the Criminal Offences Act. Massing up at a court, shouting and disturbing the proceedings of the court can lead to your arrest and prosecution. That's on your screen. Have a good afternoon. See you next week.